welcome back to Perth Watch. Today's watch is inspired by the results of a poll which I put out not so long ago. So the first watch that I reviewed out of that you guys wanted to see was the Pagani design. Today's watch is in fact the one that got the second highest number of votes, and it is a watch from Boldr Supply Company, or some people just call them Boldr watches. Now this is a company who have a philosophy of making watches which are geared towards adventure and sports, and they have the motto of being bolder and being ready for anything. And I think the designs really do meet that criteria. You know, they do really meet their goal of making watches for adventure, and their designs are almost all original, which I really respect about Boldr. So today's watch comes in a pretty nifty package. The company is pretty cool. You know, they have a pretty cool website with imaging and explanations of what they do, and I really do like the way they have packaged this particular watch in this package, which is quite nice. So let's just turn the camera around and take a closer look at this guy.
Alright guys, so here we have the Boldr Supply Company box. This is really quite interesting. You can see it's as if it's a packing crate here. Boldr there, you know, direction to open it. This is rubberized, which kind of makes you feel like you can drop this and it won't be a problem. That kind of thick foamy material on the inside here. So that's the watch in there. What they do provide is some Boldr cards, you know, marketing gimmicks in terms of also a competition you can enter to win a voucher, stickers, instruction card, which I'll just kind of hold it up here if you want to read it, but most of the time you don't really need this because most of you will know how to operate a watch like this without looking at that. Expedition competition, where there is actually a little map or maze that you can plot your way through and, you know, submit. And a warranty card, which is semi-transparent, which is really quite interesting, you know, kind of cool stuff that they do provide in here. So that's all there is. Let's just put all that aside and show you guys the watch in closer detail. Alright, so guys, this is the Boldr Expedition in a Rushmore edition, right? This colorway, they do come in several other colorways, 4 others. They're all named after famous mountain peaks throughout the world for various reasons. This one obviously is Mount Rushmore, but take a look at the website for different colorways if you prefer. $5.99 USD is the MSRP, but now and then you probably can get this on slight discount. They do sometimes have sales on the website. The Expedition range is marketed as an all-round daily beater with combination of rugged and striking looks. It's inspired by military tanks, that's what they say, and it offers functional features that apparently blur the lines between work and play. All right, that's really the explanation of the inspiration behind the Expedition range of watches. Okay guys, let's just talk about the movement in here now. So this is a Swiss movement. It is actually a Sellita SW200-1. The movement details are over there on the left of screen. You know, all specs down the left there. You already know this. You've seen this movement on the channel before. In this case, the quick set date is implemented on the 4 o'clock window that you can see there with a white border. It's actually white writing on black disc, so it's good that they've given a black disc rather than a white disc in this case. Rated accuracy listed on the left there. In actual use, this is actually running on the borderline of that. It's running about -10 seconds per day. If I was going to keep this watch, I'd probably try to regulate it to slightly positive. Alright, let's move on to the case now. The case here is 41mm in 316L steel. The thickness is 14mm to the top of the glass with 20mm lug width, and the lug-to-lug distance at the very tip between my thumbs there is 48mm. Because it's on this rubber strap, it's only 120 gram total weight, so not very heavy, but there is substantial weight in the case itself. Finishing wise, you know, as you can see me pan it around, this case is fully matte, kind of this sandblasted finish, which is pretty nicely done, I have to say. The case back itself does have circular brushing around the outside, and then it's got that Expedition engraving which has some polished bits in the middle there, which is pretty cool. I like that, you know, that footprint in the middle of a maze there. With that screw down case back and screw down sign crown there and kind of a loomed crown on the 2 o'clock position, right? So that's a double screw down crown. The water rating is a full 200 meters here. The other thing I will say about this case, it is rated at 20,000 angstrom per meter magnetic resistance, which is roughly 4 times the ISO 764 magnetic resistance limits for watches. Okay, moving on to the dial now. The dial here, as you can see, is matte black, right, with fully printed details. There's not a single applied element on this dial here, but you know, I think they've done it pretty well here. It's got an inner ring of some of the 24-hour numerals, and then chapter marks are printed around the periphery of the dial here. You can see this on the macro shots I'll show you. Simple baton style hands with blackened centers, so it makes it look as if it's floating above the dial there. It's got a yellow border around the seconds tip with a rectangle for the seconds hand lume position there. It's fully loomed, right? This is a fully loomed dial, including all numerals as well as the entire bezel marking here. And of course, a lume shot right here for you guys to appreciate how it glows in the dark. All right, talking about the bezel now. The bezel is an internal bidirectional rotating bezel, okay? So let's just show this to you. All right, you can see there, you can turn it both ways and you operate it via this crown. It doesn't actually lock or click. So, you know, if you're very obsessive about crown position or bezel position, you might struggle to get it exactly at 12 o'clock, but I've attempted to do it right here, and that's it, screwing the crown back in to make sure the bezel doesn't move now. The bezel itself, as you can see here, 5-minute intervals between the markings all around the bezel here. It doesn't have more finer intervals than that. On top of the dial is a slightly domed sapphire crystal with internal anti-reflective coating, which is pretty well done. You know, I think you can look at it straight there and there's minimal reflection despite the very bright lights of the sky behind me. You know, you can still see the dial pretty good there. Moving on to the strap then. The strap here is molded natural rubber. That's what it's described at. And then it's got, of course, what you can see is a molded pattern there. And this one, they ostensibly say, is actually inspired by tank treads. All right, interesting pattern there. It is relatively sticky. It's not that easy to thread it through, so not the easiest strap to use, I will say. The buckle is similar finish to the case. It's kind of this matte sandblasted steel with a Boldr logo that you can see there. Okay, so that's the description. Just going to pop it on for a wrist shot for you guys now. So there you go. It took some effort, but there it is, the Boldr Expedition on my 17 centimeter wrist. So remember, 41 millimeter case width with 48 millimeter lug to lug distance. I think it fits okay. Right, it is actually a fairly prominent watch with good wrist presence, and that's how it looks like, you know, on that green rubber strap there. Okay, so that's the description of the watch. What have I liked about this? Well, look, I think they've kind of wanted to do a watch with rugged good looks and a quality package, and I think they've achieved it. You know, it's got that Swiss movement, it's got the sapphire crystal, a very, you know, rather well finished case, I would say. You know, this case is quite nice to look at, and you know, the finishing, I like the angles that they worked in here, you know, those facets on the case. You know, I think the finishing is actually pretty good, and the lume is pretty nicely done. You know, you saw the lume shot, it does have dual colors. It's both C3 and BGW9 to give you those two colors in the dark. I think the elements are really quite interesting in terms of the design here. You know, talked about the case. It's got an internal rotating bezel, which is pretty well done. The double layer crowns, right? You can see the crown grips kind of have this double layer, which is a bit of a trademark of Boldr crowns here. And the thread pattern on the strap is also pretty nicely done. So lots to like about this. I think it does fulfill its design purpose of a rugged field style, trekking style piece rather well. You know, that's how I feel about this piece. Now, any weaknesses? Well, I would say really the only thing I would say is that the strap is not the best strap that I've seen. It's really a little bit stiff, it's really a bit sticky, not that easy to use, and not the most comfortable rubber strap. I'd rather probably prefer a nice silicone rubber, but that's really what this is coming with. Possibly it will wear in with use and become more comfortable if you actually own this watch and use this strap. So guys, there we go. That's the description and the pros and cons of the watch. Let's just rotate the camera around now and go to the wrap up.
So there you go, guys, my review of the Boldr explanation. Let me know what you think of it. If you have any experiences with the company, with Boldr watches, we'd certainly love to hear what you think, and particularly if you own this particular watch. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I put out new content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.